What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today we will be talking about the Canon Thrawn trilogy. Before we get started, though, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. All right, let's get into it. All right, so these are the first books that are in the canon Star Wars timeline, which means they were made after 2014 when Disney bought Star Wars, and these books specifically were released in 2017, 2018, and 2019 respectively. And yeah, it's Thrawn's introduction in canon books because he did appear in a canon TV series before this called Star Wars Rebels. Really like it. Definitely give it a watch. And the background in universe, these books detail Thrawn's life in the Empire from 14 BBY to 1 BBY, which is like 5 years after Revenge of the Sith to 1 year before A New Hope. And they introduce a new major villain species in Star Wars, the Grisk. They're just kind of these random, super aggressive aliens from the unknown regions, and they're coming to enslave everybody. And it also introduces a lot of smaller Imperials that are, for being part of the Empire, pretty enjoyable. Alright, first book, just titled Thrawn. It takes place 14 BBY to 2 BBY. It starts with the Empire finding him allegedly exiled from the Chiss Ascendancy. And it details Thrawn's rise from being a new recruit all the way up to being named a Grand Admiral. And it pairs him with another guy who found him, named Eli Vanto. And they make a great pair because Thrawn is like a he gets stuff from the art, and Eli Vanto gets stuff from the numbers, and they have a great relationship where they just both like learn off of each other and fill in each other's strengths. And I think it's really interesting that the main villain of the book is a rebel, because it's from an Empire's perspective, but you do kind of side with Thrawn because the rebel is doing all this illegal stuff, like drug trafficking. But I guess if it's to make money to fight the Empire, it's okay. And he's a really good counter to Thrawn because they're both super geniuses. And that's actually one part one of the very small pieces I don't like about this book is that they kind of nerf Thrawn hardcore style, because they have Thrawn, who is just super smart, and then they have they've got Colonel Yularen, who's kind of helping him politically, and so is Governor Price. And then he also has Eli Vanto to help him get cozy with Imperials that he's working with. And so I don't really like it, because then it just makes Thrawn seem kind of like super autistic, since he can't interact with people, but he can predict them, which I think is very contradictory and kind of turns him into like a space blue Sheldon Cooper. And yeah, there's two main storylines. It's Thrawn and Eli Vanto, and then Governor Price is just thrown in there, and it's good enough. It does not compare to all the Thrawn and Eli Vanto stuff, but I think it's really funny how they make her the most evil person in this book when Thrawn condones slavery, but somehow she's just worse, because, politicians, they're evil. Alright, Thrawn Alliances. This one takes place between Rebels Season 3 and Rebels Season 4, at least the Empire part does. And the Emperor kind of makes Thrawn and Vader team up, even though they got beef for supporting different Imperial projects. And then while that story's going on, there's a flashback story of when Anakin and Thrawn worked together to find a missing Padme. And the Clone Wars era story it's mid. It's just like a good Clone Wars arc. There's not really much to say about it. But the Empire era is where the real sauce is of the book, because it introduces the Grisk, and you really get to learn more about Chiss as a whole, because that's what the Grisk are doing. They're trafficking little Chiss children, because they're how the Chiss do hyperspace. They got Force sensitive children, and yeah, that's the plot of the Empire part. But I'm not a fan of how mean Vader is to Thrawn. He's really just a super douche. And yeah, he's like a mass murderer, but he could stand to be a little nicer. And then, in like the final battle of the book, Thrawn and Vader go to save the little Chiss children from the Grisk. And Vader aura farms so hard by sending out his spare armor, which he's controlling through the Force. It gets all gooped up so that it can't move. And then real Vader just pulls his lightsaber back and tears them a new one. Overall, pretty good though. Thrawn Treason. This one takes place in like right before the season 4 finale of Rebels, and it reunites Thrawn and Eli Vanto, who Thrawn sent to work with the Chiss. So Eli Vanto's no longer in the Empire. And the main conflict is that Thrawn needs money for his project, which leads him to unravel a mystery that the Grisk are deep in Empire space. And he's got this other Imperial watching over him the whole time to make sure that Thrawn's not stealing money or anything from the Death Star. And he's really good at being very annoying to Thrawn in this story. And there was a really weird part with him at the end, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of it, is that Thrawn also sends him to work with the Chiss. Okay, I don't know why he did that, because at least he and Eli Vanto were good friends, and he saw all the good in him. Baronen's just kind of, just a nuisance. I don't know why he would ship him off to the Chiss. It doesn't make sense. And, the Eli Vanto replacement in the Empire, Commodore Pharaoh, she's an interesting character, a well enough replacement, but she'll never top my boy Eli Vanto. And I wish Thrawn would express himself towards Eli Vanto, because the whole time throughout this book, Eli Vanto is like looking to talk to Thrawn and get his approval, but Thrawn is just a very withholding character. But at the end of the first Thrawn one, Eli Vanto is reading Thrawn's journal, and he says all these things about it's nice to know you have a friend even if they're not with you, because then you know they're doing good out in the galaxy, which is what Thrawn says about Eli Vanto. And then in this book, Thrawn just kind of barely acknowledges him. He's just kind of there. And I was not a fan of that. And by the end of this book, Thrawn does indeed commit treason, which is why it's titled Thrawn Treason. And yeah, pretty solid. My personal ranking, out of these three, I think Thrawn Alliances was definitely the worst. I'd probably give it like a solid 8 out of 10. It was weighed down by the Clone Wars stuff, because it was just made Clone Wars arc with some good Empire stories. And then Thrawn Treason, like a 9 or something, maybe an 8.5. Really good, really intriguing. It's nice to see Thrawn solving this mystery of the Grisk, and Nice to see him work with Eli Vanto again. And yeah, yeah. Definitely by far my favorite book. Canon, Thrawn, 10 out of 10. Spectacular. I would recommend anyone to read it. It might be my new favorite piece of Star Wars media, even over that one Rebels episode. It was great watching Thrawn grow and climb the ranks and do it with his boy Eli Vanto, who doesn't climb the ranks, which is a part of that's a main point of the book, is that to hold back Thrawn, they're holding back his assistant, basically. And yeah, great story, makes you root for a villain, and it just kind of explains him, the way he works, and it's beautiful. It's spectacular, amazing read. Yeah. Random thoughts and ideas. I feel like they're gonna neuter this character in the live action Ahsoka show. They already kind of did. I haven't watched it since reading the books, but I feel like Thrawn working with the Empire is his means to help the Chiss. But I feel like in Ahsoka season 1 and probably in season 2, he's just going to be another evil Imperial. He's just going to lose that character nuance of his like dual role in being an Imperial. And it would be interesting if Canon Thrawn took a different approach and he turned to the New Republic. This is really, I'm thinking of this on the spot, but his whole goal is to build up, he wants to be part of the winning faction so that he can help the Chiss against the Grisk. And since the Empire is essentially no more, I don't know why he would stick around for the Imperial Remnant when the New Republic is holding all the space. Yeah, that would be an interesting way to take his character. I don't know if I would even like it, but they got to do something other than just rehash legends. Also, in Thrawn Alliances, it takes place after Ahsoka leaves the Order, which is in 19 BBY, the same year as Revenge of the Sith, but before Revenge of the Sith, because Anakin is Anakin. And I just really don't understand, this is going to sound weird, Padme's pregnancy timeline. Because when is she pregnant at all? Because she could not be doing what she did in this book, all this action and adventure, and starving herself in a hot boat while pregnant with twins. I just don't believe it. And that, I know this is a space fantasy, but it begs the question, how is time even done in Star Wars at all, with all the different planets and probably their different rotational speeds and revolution speeds? How the hell do they do days and years? It does not make sense at all. Another question, how do they do years before the Battle of Yavin? Assuming they have a standardized year method, what the hell did they call it before the Battle of Yavin? What were they basing it off of? And that's about it. If you have one takeaway from this video, read the Canon Thrawn book. It was beautiful, spectacular even, and yeah, that's about it. See ya.